A couple times a year, you get to look at what rodeo as a sport could be.
Me, with the optimism in me and also seeing the momentum of rodeo.
They say records are meant to be broken, right?
I mean, that was just chills down my spine.
With home field advantage in rodeo, I'm telling you, it doesn't exist.
The contestants are just as big of a part of this conversation as the admin is.
Welcome back. I tell you what's crazy is how often the week happens. It feels like we just recorded one of these and we're already back. And not only that, I feel like a month's worth of information has happened in the last week.
Which is true. Which is true. But time flies when you're having fun, and a lot is happening in our world right now. So,
has there ever been a better top 4 round in the history of the Houston Rodeo?
Holy smokes. Well, we'll talk a little bit about the tie down later. That was the best watching in so long in the tie down. But then, like you were just talking to me about this a couple minutes ago, the surprises that came out of Houston that won. So let's delve into that.
That to me, when you talk about the future of rodeo, I feel like a couple times of the year, you get to look at what rodeo as a sport could be. And it's not disrespect to the smaller events. There's no disrespect to like the little events that keep the towns going throughout the summer that we all know and love. That's such a grassroots part of our sport. But when you think about the top 4 round at Houston, when you think about the 10th round at the NFR, when you think about literally every night at the Hondo, there are nights where it's like, man, this just feels different. And like for me, it's hard for me to just go watch another rodeo for a while after a night like the other night. Like you're watching it and you're like, man, this is wild.
It's too good.
Stetson gets on 7 animals. All the bull riders buck off in the top 4. So they just run it back. They're like, let's do it again. The ties don't get to tie. You have runoffs. It's one of the best nights of watching of the year, in my opinion.
So cool. No, yeah, a lot of cool things came out of that. Like, who the heck are these guys? I mean, Jake Gardner in the bull riding. I was just looking at, I even have to look back just to read their names. In the team roping.
Corbin and Asher.
Was it Asher? Yeah. Anyway.
That's the point. Point being, that's exactly my point.
The point.
Is that, you know, like Caleb and Junior steer gets out, so they've got to run an extra, and they miss in the long round, so they're not even in it.
Right.
Derek and Coulter ropes a leg to go back-to-back in the team roping. Calf roping was back-to-back. Bareback was back-to-back. Who else? It's just one of those years where it has such an implication on the rest of the year. Who's going to have to rodeo and how. It's just, I love when guys come in out of nowhere and win first. I think that's awesome.
Well, and then these are guys that I didn't even know their names before, but now because of this win, if they take this momentum, they might as well even make the finals. Like, we're looking, okay, it's Corbin and Cooper. And they ended with a 4-6.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys like that. Or you were saying Rope Meyer's son in the steer wrestling. So a lot of names like that literally this could have set the entire pace for the rest of their career.
Has there ever been anybody that won Houston and then didn't make the NFR? That'd be a good trivia question. I don't know the answer to that, but you feel like
my
if
brain
you win
says
Houston,
totally, but I'm trying to think of who. But it's such a fair point, though. This is what really sets the tone. Like the Texas Swing Indoor Rodeos is either going to make you or break you for the rest of the year.
Yeah, you're supposed to. You're supposed to make it if you win Houston.
Totally.
What do you think about Rocker's interview where he goes, "I can't say it surprises me."
He's such a little stink bug. You literally never know. He's such a wild card with his interviews. It could be super sweet and sentimental, or it could be something you're going to need to cover your kids' ears for. You never know with him.
I don't hate it. I don't
hate
hate
either.
it because then there's people on my Facebook who are like, "I'll tell you this about that Rocker stuff." I'm like, that's what it's designed for. I think it's great.
Listen, coming from a person that's usually the one interviewing them, I so appreciate any sort of emotion in comparison to the guys that maybe choke on camera, aren't used to this, and give me 2-word answers, you know? So I'll take that every day.
What's your worst moment as a sideline interviewer? What's the moment that stands out to you where you're just like, oh no?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is I was at the Ogden Pioneer Days over the summer last year, and Derek and Coulter were the fastest of the night. And these are some of my favorite guys around. And if you're having one-on-one conversation, fantastic conversation, right? But when it comes time for interviews, Derek knows just what to do. Coulter's great too, but every once in a while, if you're not teeing up the question right, you just don't know what you're going to get. And bless Coulter's heart, this is so my fault. I gave him a 2-folded question. It was one of the worst questions I've ever asked because there was so much to it. I basically answered the question for him. And when I put the mic in his face, he just was like, so he probably was silent for a whole 5 seconds. The suspense was building. Everyone in the stands was just wondering what's coming next, but he smoothed it out. That was my fault.
He's not afraid to one-word answer you either. Like
he's not.
Yep.
I love that guy.
It was good.
And they're not afraid to give you a hard time for it every day after that either. So I'll live with that forever.
We saw something. They say records are meant to be broken, right? But we saw something this weekend where it feels like universally, you hate to be the guy that says it's never going to be broken, and everybody's saying it's never going to be broken. What Riley did in the 4-man, there's some factors for people that may not know. Those calves are extremely good. That's an extremely good set of calves. The best calf was last out, so that's just part of what went into it. You had a guy that breaks the arena record in Shane coming back. You had the best calf, was push pressure early. You've got Riley who not only won the 8-man, so he comes back last, has the best calf, and sees what he's got to do. The factors that put the ball on the tee, it's like the lottery. It's like the chances of the lottery balls lining up right. For that moment to even exist in the first place is 1 in a million, right? And then for that 1 in a million to be capped with a 1 in a million type run from Riley. We've got Shane coming on. I was sitting there and I said, this isn't over. And I feel like Shane knows it. They had the camera on Shane, and you could even see Shane. Shane's like, an arena record's still not going to be enough, So we might have seen a record that never falls this weekend with 6-5 at Houston.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, and I think a lot of people will say it won't. That's probably the most likely answer. Me, with the optimism in me and also seeing the momentum of rodeo, I might be standing alone on this, but I'm going to say it will be broken. I don't know when, but I'm going to take my pick and say that Riley will break his own record. If there's someone that's going to do it, I think it might be Riley on that same exact horse. I don't know, but with the way that he works under pressure and especially set up to records like that, he's usually the one that's going to step up to the plate. So I don't know. Right. I was also just looking at the difference between the setup at Houston versus the Thomas and Mack, right? The Thomas and Mack is so much smaller. Houston's huge, probably a longer score, but we were saying like you might see a 6-5 at another arena, but not at a setup like Houston. But I'm also thinking of some crazy arena records at the Thomas and Mack. Like Shad had that 1-6-1, the calf got up, but still, I think it could be possible. I don't know. Yeah, that's my argument for it.
I would say that they're going to break 6-1 before they break 6-5 at Houston.
You think so?
And like I said, I'd be curious to hear Riley's opinion of it, but just for the factors that went into it and for him to know, there's no holding back. Like what we saw was the best that Riley had with his foot fully on the gas pedal. Mm-hmm. Remember last year, he had to be some kind of 7 and he ran his calf 4 or 5 or 6 swings down there and was still 7 and still won Houston because the circumstances didn't require that he goes all out, right? So the NFR being a faster setup, faster set of calves, around getting fast. And that's the other thing is the judges their reaction time. When it's fast, the judges react faster, which means the exact same run is going to be faster when the runs are consistently faster. That judge knows like his reaction time on the flag. So you're getting a 10th or 2 taken off when the run's already starting fast. So just so much that goes into that. There's so many things that go into something like that.
So that poses the question too. Knowing that there are so many variables, the setup is the only consistency that you can look for because when you think about the cowboy, his horse, the calf, the judges, the atmosphere, right? There are just so many moving parts that the setup is the only constant variable you can look to. So when you think about records being set, right? For example, this month, there's a new world record, I guess tied for the new world record in the team roping at Austin. And so, but a lot of people are arguing that you can't even call that a world record because setups are different from rodeo to rodeo. So yeah, it was a 3-4? 3-2. It was a 3-2. So they tied the world record, but can we call it that if that's the fastest setup compared to a longer, you know what I mean? Like, is that really the fastest roping can get?
In a word, yeah, it's a world record because you've got Nampas, you've got the NFRs, I think they broke it one year. Brock Hansen and Ryan Moats broke it back when it was still 3-3 over in Nacogdoches. So yes, Austin's a fast setup, but it's not the only fast setup. So yeah, that's the world record. It's the fastest run on the fastest setup. If you go to a place like Cheyenne or Houston or Pendleton, that's why arena records are such a significant thing. Is it's the fastest run on that setup. And so world records are always going to happen on the smaller setups. That's just how it goes. You can't really disqualify it, in my opinion. You can't really disqualify it. It's the fastest setup, and it's the fastest run in history on the fastest setup. But to me, that gives more significance to an arena record at places that are more spread out. Gives an argument for standardized pattern too, because like with the Hondo, everything's standardized. It's the same.
Yeah.
What I know is this: you can set up the exact same dimensions, exact same dirt, exact same everything, and it's still going to feel different. There's an arena here in Wickenburg downtown, Simpsons, Roper Nation, where they set up everything the exact same and they don't score the same. Like the start is still different. Everything's exactly the same. So even when you standardize something, the feel of it is going to have it's going to feel a little different. So
For sure.
what does a standard pattern mean?
Right. No, that's such a fair question to pose. And then you talk about, so the Hondo specifically has a very different approach in comparison to other big rodeos where we make the contestants just as much of let me rephrase that. The contestants are just as big of a part of this conversation as the admin is. So we're asking them for their preferences. What kind of calves do they want to see? What animals, what bucking stock, right? And then all in the same breath, what kind of setup do you want? And I know you saw this firsthand this last year at Phoenix. We literally changed the barrel setup, the barrel pattern the day before the show started because the girls came in and had an opinion, and we listened to that kind of stuff because it makes it better watching for not just the contestants, but especially the fans. It's a better experience for everyone all around when the contestants themselves have a little bit of skin in the game, if that makes sense. So when you talk about who's bringing the calves, what kind of calves we want, that's exactly what we're doing.
Well, and the arena is always going to be the same dimensions, right? And so it's never going to be a long score. It's never going to be a big, long Cheyenne type setup. But there's always going to be variations. There's no way around it. You're going to have little variations because even if you did everything the same, it's still gonna work a little bit different. So I love that they're standardizing the sizes of everything. I think it's the advantage goes to the guys that do well in the smaller setups. It'll be interesting to see, the guys who typically excel in the bigger setups. It may not be the advantage for them. So. Interesting. I like the idea of it's always going to be basically the same sort of setup every week.
Well, I like that too, because if you really want to figure out who the best in the game is, you have to be consistent all around. So there are those people that are going to be better in certain setups versus others, same with their horses, but it'll be cool to see like really who can adjust accordingly. Like you said, there are some guys that'll be better in different setups, but if they can adjust accordingly, that just shows even more so what kind of talent they have.
Well, and here's what I'll say that they're doing that's really, really, really smart. Is we talked about the timed event a couple weeks ago, and it's a big, long, slower times, bigger cattle. The rodeo purists, right? Like the high rodeo IQ type people, they understand what they're watching and there's appreciation for it. But if you're bringing in new fans to the sport that don't really know what they're watching, they're going to want to see fast times, right? Yeah. And so to make sure that everywhere they go, you're able to assimilate new people into the sport, I think to set it up where it's going to have fast times is just brilliant. And kudos to the Hondo guys for realizing like what we're doing is two parts. We're trying to have the best competition, but we want it to be understandable for the sport and for fans that are coming in and kind of learning what it is. So I think it's smart.
I agree with that 1,000,000,000%. And speaking of that, trying to, integrate into new fan bases, we really want to build storylines. So we talk about, what kind of people are on the rosters going into this, and are there any rivalries going into it too? So we've talked a lot about, is there such thing as home field advantage when it comes to rodeo? I know both of us can see on both sides of the fence. So let's bring some arguments to both sides of the table and let people choose for themselves which side they reside on. So you go for it first.
Let's do this. Let's both argue for it and against it. Okay. And then when we're done, the third will be what we actually believe.
Okay. I like that.
So here's what I'll say about for home field advantage. Your travel time is less. Your atmosphere is the same. Your horses are not having to travel as far. You think about horses and how hard that can be traveling and lots of miles, and whether that be anything. I mean, like there's some horses, if they travel too much, they get ulcers or whatever. Being at home, same sights, smells, sounds, some of the advantages. I could see where the crowd being into it and you feel like momentum, right? And so much of sports is like a flow state. And so just feeling like you've got the momentum of the crowd with you. I could argue that you're elevated in the desire to win. You always want to win, right? Like nobody's going to get on a bull and be like, I don't care if I win today, right? There's always going to be the desire to win, but maybe some extra preparation. I could see where that's my argument for it, for home field advantage being a thing.
Okay. You want me to give my argument for it then first?
Sure.
Okay. I do think there's a science behind your mindset and mentality when you're in familiarity, right? Whether it's in competition or not. If you're in a place that you're familiar with, your nervous system is more regulated than not. So I can see an argument for home field advantage existing in rodeo, giving that side of things. Like you said, it's less travel time. They're in an environment they're familiar with, whether it's food or even the weather. It's something that they already are accustomed to. that's my argument for it. But let's go to the other side. You give yours first against it.
I don't think it exists. It just doesn't exist. Rodeo, home field advantage in rodeo, I'm telling you, it doesn't exist. It can't. And if anybody wants to argue or have a different opinion, we're open. Like, comment, jump in. We'd love to hear your thoughts. But in football, when it's third down and you're trying to mess with the snap count and the home field crowd is just cheering and yelling and like messing up the offensive cadence, when you look at free throws and the sounds and the loud and how the crowd can play an advantage to or against a team in basketball, I can see where there's home field advantage. Baseball, home field advantage is you're going to the bottom of the ninth. There's ways that home field advantage is baked into the sport, right? Rodeo, you're not competing against anybody else. It's you and an animal. And whether that animal is in your hometown or the other side of the world, you're still competing against that animal. And so I don't think there is home field advantage. And in fact, we'll get into it in a little bit, but I mean, there's ways it could probably be a little bit of a disadvantage when you think of all the different stresses of people attending a rodeo that you're responsible for getting in. I'll go on record as saying, like, I want our Louisiana guys to do well. I think the state of Louisiana deserves it. I know how excited Louisiana is for their contestants and for them to see, their contestants and things like that. But to say that they've got an advantage, I don't think there's any way.
No, and to your point too, here's my argument against it as well. Like you said, in football or basketball, the crowd goes crazy when the other team is really on the line. A free throw, third down, whatever it be. But in this circumstance, the crowd's going to go crazy when our Louisiana guys are on the line, right? And so it really is going to work in the opposite way, where these guys need to have their mind so locked and dialed that no matter what the atmosphere is like in there, they and their horse are going to be completely locked in and ready for a clean run. So I can only imagine what kind of pressure that brings.
Question. Is it possible that there's a home field advantage in the rough stock, but not in the timed events?
For sure. I also say that because, here's a hot take, but yeah, judging isn't always completely fair. So I've seen it myself where the Wright brothers will do better here in Utah or in the wilderness circuit than they will in others. I mean, they're going to do good no matter where they go, but I've seen it firsthand, right? Or for example, like you could even say home field advantage talking about stock. Like some guys have ridden Survey horses more than they have Vold horses. And if it's a pen of Survey horses, they're going to do better than Vold. And maybe other guys aren't as accustomed to them. So it is different from event to event for sure.
That's such a good point.
Here's another thing though. In my mind, I'm just picturing, like we said, we have a couple of Louisiana contestants, a handful actually. And like we said, the crowd's going to go crazy. But if I were to argue in favor of home field advantage, I would say that some contestants absolutely thrive off of that kind of pressure. And Rocker Steiner's one of those people. So I can see him, if it was his home field, I could see him doing better than, or Riley Webb, for example. He does so well under pressure. So maybe this will be a good setup for him.
Yeah, I think that might be my most complete answer. I think in the timed events, there's no such thing as home field advantage. I think with the rough stock, because there's a little Red Bull that they're bucking, Cord McCoy's hauling. They call him the Hondo, and he's just been bucking everybody off, and he'll be there. And so a bull like that comes in and draws a Louisiana contestant, and the electricity in the crowd, where he's a younger bull, it's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to kind of hype him up or it's going to freak him out. But maybe those animals buck just a little bit harder with that much sound. Maybe those guys are able to get a little more out of their rides, and so maybe that's the answer, is that in the rough stock, I could see where home field advantage would be a thing. Timed event, the crowd noise and all the stuff. I mean, you throw your hands up and your calf's tied and the crowd goes nuts and the horse freaks out. I can see where it'd be more of a disadvantage in the timed event. So, yeah, there's, I guess, half and half. I'm split.
Well, and actually, I do want to touch on that a little bit too. Like you said, with the rough stock animals, I think that most of them do thrive off of that atmosphere. I mean, Virgil was one of the best examples of that. You could see in his personality that was where he did best, is in big crowd scenarios where he knew people were cheering for him. Those animals are way smarter than we give them credit for. So yeah, when it comes down to New Orleans, I think that with the stock that we're bringing, the contestants that we're bringing, the rough stock will probably be better than at other setups just because of the atmosphere itself, especially being in Caesars Superdome. How could it get better than that?
What about barrels?
I think the same thing for barrels.
Do we have any Louisiana barrel racers?
I'm thinking.
Louisiana barrel racers do better.
Not that I could think of. But, there are a lot of Southern gals. I mean, we can definitely claim a couple of South Texas girls. So you could say it's home field advantage for them if there was one. But those barrel horses, just like bucking stock, they have ego. So they will thrive off of your cheering as well.
Okay. Well, hey, we're going to go in. We actually got a chance to visit with Shane. Man, talk about having the most overshadowed really good day ever. Shane Hanchey had a very good day. Shane won more in one day than you can almost win in a month, most months yesterday. And
Yeah.
I haven't even seen a replay of his run.
You know what I think? This is almost like it feels similar to it just feels like if you were to get married and then your brother proposed to his dream girl that same day and he got all the fire, like that's what it feels like that day at Houston.
Yeah,
So
you marry
bless his
like a
heart.
really solid, good girl, and then your brother gets engaged to like a supermodel. And
Megan
everybody's
Fox.
like, ugh. You know what's funny is like you always go to everybody's page to watch the replays of their runs. Like I haven't seen one replay of Shane's, so I went to Shane's, and Shane has a replay. Like he was supposed to replay of Riley's run too. So it's like you have a day like Riley had. That's going to get all the attention. That was incredible.
But they love each other. That's the cool thing. Good camaraderie between the
yeah,
rivals.
yeah. I'll tell you this: of all the things I'm looking forward to in New Orleans, I wish there was a camera crew just following Shane around for all that this is going to mean to him. And so to get to hear a little bit about that, I'm pumped. I'm excited. Shane, thanks for jumping on. Welcome. Got the jersey on. I've learned this in the last few months is that Louisiana is not a foreign country. Louisiana is 500 different foreign countries all in one state. And so it's been fun for us. It's been eye-opening for us. I feel like we're just now starting to get into what it means to be from that state. And so what it's done for me is like you go back and you've always been LSU, you've always been the Saints, everything Louisiana. I feel like I'm closer to understanding it now. Describe what that means to have something like this coming to Louisiana.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you said it perfectly. There's so much to represent down there. I mean, we've got LSU and then the Saints, and not only them two organizations, but the people, the food, the music, the festivities. I mean, it's all wrapped in one. And so the day I heard, I was sitting up there with you guys and at the Hondo in Phoenix when they unveiled the coming to New Orleans. I mean, there was just chills down my spine because that's a place that, look, I've been there 5, 6, 7 times. Saints playoff games, 2 national title games with LSU, and to be able to think about roping in there is gonna be awesome. So it's coming up, so we're excited.
So, okay, going off of this, we've kind of been tossing around the idea of whether or not home field advantage is a thing in rodeo. Because it's different. It's a completely different game than mainstream sports. But for you, who is just driving past your backyard to somewhere that you're already familiar with, it already hypes you up just to be in that stadium. Does that bring a couple elements of, I don't know, extra good luck for you when you back into the box?
Shane,
yeah.
Real quick before you answer, let me put the ball on the tee this way. They talk about things like flow state and mentally, how much of this game is mental. And I understand home field advantage from a momentum standpoint. I actually don't think there is such a thing as home field advantage with rodeo because you're competing against an animal, not against another person. I've argued this, that in rodeo, there really is no such thing as home field advantage. There's home field cool. There's home field like excitement, but I'm of the belief there's no such thing as home field advantage. So I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Yeah, no, like Kennedy said, I mean, for me, there's more pressure on us because we're from Louisiana. I love the Saints. I love LSU. I love being going to be in that building. So for me, I think there's more added pressure from a standpoint on that. It's not going to be any easier. Obviously, you're going up against the best guys in the world with some great calves for my event. So other than the fact that, look, and this is something that I've thought about already. I think it's going to be louder when I'm back in there. When they say I'm from Louisiana, I think the crowd's going to be louder than, when somebody from Texas backs in there. So I'm already prepping my horse for that that loudness. And so that's a disadvantage. I mean, at the end of the day, I'll be straight up. Like the louder it is, I'm going to be riding a 7-year-old horse over there. I mean, so I got to have him ready for that, and I got to have myself ready for that. So a little bit more to tune in and dial in on that aspect if we were just at a different rodeo in a different state. But us Louisiana guys, look, you guys are doing a hell of a job promoting us Louisiana guys. So when we back in there in our respective events, it's going to be louder, it's going to be better, and it's going to be fun. I can't wait.
Well, you think about like fourth down, home field advantage, third down, fourth down, where it can get louder and actually affect the game. Free throws in basketball, it can actually affect the game. Bottom of the ninth in baseball, it can actually affect the game. I see different ways that home field advantage exists in other sports. And I've wondered if it's not that. We talk about Louisiana's got home field advantage, and to your point, I almost feel like it's added pressure and added difficulty. And so I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see if we decide that turns out to be an advantage or a disadvantage. What about, and this could be true of anywhere, not just Louisiana, but how do you feel like it affects you sitting around for 3 days? Because, if I take the 4th of July, you might run 2 or 3 or 4 calves in a day. Here, it's going to be one, wait all day, run one at night, wait all day. Do you think it's an advantage or a disadvantage to be somewhere all weekend versus being on the road to 3 or 4 different events?
Well, I'd say lucky for me. Being in Vegas as many times as I have, that's the worst in the world. When you're doing good, you want to rope again in 10 minutes. When you're doing bad, you want to wait a week. So it'll be similar, honestly, similar to the national finals for us. But lucky for me, I know some good places in New Orleans to kind of not think about stuff and get on Bourbon Street and have some good food and good piano bar and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll just honestly the 3 days I feel like it's gonna go by so fast because we're gonna be having so much fun. Um, Time flies when you're having fun. So honestly, the roping, I mean, I think that's gonna be kind of getting off on the right foot from the first round on Friday and letting it kind of flow. But other than that, it'll be similar to the NFR and how we treat them 24 hours till we rope again.
Shane, here's another thing to think about too. So when you're going down the road, I mean, you're having to adjust based on the setup that the rodeo has there, right? Whereas here at the Hondo, no matter where we are, whether we're in Phoenix or New Orleans, the setup's the same. It's the same standardized pattern, same measurements. So how does that have an impact on how you guys perform? You probably know ahead of time what horse you're bringing. Do you feel a little extra prepared in that case?
Yeah, I kind of assumed until y'all said something that it was going to be the same setup, similar situation as Phoenix, and I love them setups. I love going as fast as you can. So, like I said, yeah, that'll help in preparation leading up to New Orleans and having my horse ready and myself ready, and I'm so super excited. I've got a lot of confidence right now and roping in general. So I'm really looking forward to being out there.
Shane, I don't think I'm going way out on a limb saying this. Watching the short round at Houston the other day, you break the arena record in the Final Four. If there was anybody else in any other setup, you go game over. And I'm sitting there watching with some friends, and I said, it ain't over. And so then they come back and they're 7-3, which would have been an arena record. And I'm watching you. They're showing you on the camera, and I can't see what you're saying, but I got the sense, I had the idea that you're watching, going like, here we go. Uh, how far off of it was I? In your mind, did you feel like you were probably what Riley Webb backs in the box, the Cavs are good. Everybody else like it's an arena record. In your mind, where you're like, it ain't enough.
No, I'll be straight up honest with y'all. When we picked the Final Four Cavs that morning, me and Riley and Michael Otero tied them and prepped them that morning. That's all the guys that showed up. And when we picked the Final Four Cavs, I knew that Cav 55 and Cav 60 were the two of the best ones in the Final Four. And so Jordan, what they do when they have a 10-man and a 4-man round like that, all in one performance, they seed those Cavs like they already draw them because after the bull ride, they don't go back in there and draw for
Right.
everything. So 4-3-2-1, and so they post that when they post the 10-man draw. And so me and Riley's in the secretary's office when we look and see what we got in the 10-man, and we looked at the Final Four, and I looked at him and I said, we want to be first or we want to be fourth going into this 4-man because them are the two best calves. Well, lo and behold, I was going in fourth, but he was going in first. So I told people before the 4-man, I said he can walk down the rope and tie this one in 7 flat. I set him in at 7 flat. I told myself, look, if you want a chance to win this thing, you have to set an arena record. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And Kincaid coming right behind me, going 7-3. I mean, 3 out of the 4 runs breaking the arena record, and that's exactly what was happening. What you said that you saw was exactly what was happening. Binion was trying to get me over there to go get ready to do the interview, and I said, Binion, he's going to beat me. And he goes, his exact words were, are you not living right? I said, I'm living right. I said, but the best calf roper in the world has the best calf
Right.
and that's how it works. I mean, and I was just crazy that I missed it by a half second. I set him
Jeez.
in at 7 flat. He was 6'5".
Well, okay, here's another thing to talk about. Bringing it back to the Hondo again, I mean, you're telling me earlier and keying me in that you and Riley are the ones that are providing the calves. So you guys have a little bit of insight as to what these are looking like. Sounds like it might be the same kind of pressure where you're going to have to rope a world record type of time in order to do well at the Hondo when it comes New Orleans time.
Yeah, I mean they're all going to be like little black baldies, probably weigh 200 pounds, just wanting for us to time in 6 and 7. That's what the fans love. I mean, look, Riley Webb got a standing ovation in the 4-man round at Houston, 75,000 people. If that don't do good for our event, I don't know what does, you know. So people want to see us time fast, and that's what the Hondo's going to bring to them in New Orleans. I don't suspect 8 second run winning any money all weekend. So yeah, long story short, it's looking like I'm going to have to battle against Riley Webb and Kincaid Henry again at New Orleans.
I have a scenario, and I'm going to set it up for you, and you guys can tell me I'm crazy. I'm going to explain what I'm talking about. I think there is a scenario by which Riley comes in. I'm not going to say not the favorite, but not quite the underdog. I think there's an equalizing factor with Riley in Louisiana, and I think it's what horse he decides to bring, because he is Superman on that horse that come from what's the kid's
Yeah,
name? Yeah.
yeah, Rudy.
If he brings any other horse, I think then the draw plays into it. We saw it at Phoenix this year. He rode the gray that come from Tough. He drew a calf that tried a little bit, and it kind of leveled the playing field. So there's a scenario by which, maybe Riley comes in as one of the guys instead of wearing his cape. And I think if Kincaid brings the roan, there's those kinds of advantages. How many guys do you think are bringing the horse? Because we got other rodeos going on, other traveling, things like that. How many people do you think bring the horse that they would have seen at Houston to New Orleans?
Well, I'm going to tell you this, that it's a lot closer to Iowa, Louisiana from New Orleans than it is Phoenix, Arizona. So I would be shocked if he's not riding Rudy over there at the Superdome. And I know what Kincaid's going to bring. He's going to bring Mario. And I'm going to bring the little horse I rode at the NFR last year, because this is so similar to an NFR setup, you know. So I think everybody, to answer your question, the amount of money that can be won in them 3 days in April, I think everybody's going to be on their good stuff.
What's the advantage to that horse over the Bay?
For me, he's just a little lower. He's a little easier for me to rope him fast on. Like Houston, my bay was awesome, but it's also a 20-foot box, and you got a lot of box to go through there, and you got time to get 3 or 4 swings in, to where I think at the Hondo, we're going to be roping him 2 to 3 swings, and I love him in the box. He pulls me out of there. He lets me get my rope on him. And like I said, if we can get him to just relax from the crowd noise and the music, and I think he'll be a great horse to be out there on.
I'm getting so excited thinking about this because it's such a different storyline than rewind to our first Hondo in Phoenix, right? I mean, Shad Mayfield was a part of the conversation, and usually the conversation was, is it Riley or is it Shad? But now it's between the 3 Louisiana guys that are top 3 in the world, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to get really good.
Yeah, it's awesome. Not many people know the Louisiana ties that Kincaid Henry has, but he's from Louisiana. His family's in Lake Charles. His grandpa Newt and grandma Carol, they're great people, and Kincaid is like a little brother to me too, and I've watched his career blossom, and to see what he's been doing all year is awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the year unfold for him. And yeah, for us three, Louisiana ties. And what's cool about that, Jordan, I don't think people realize is, so me, Kincaid, and Riley last year at Houston Final Four, last year at the American Final Four, us three, and then this year at Houston, the Final Four. So us three have been in the Final Four at Houston the last 2 years and the American last year. So that's pretty damn cool.
It's even more
Oh,
fun to have
wow.
come out on top for 100,000 over there at Chase or
Yeah, yeah, I got
Louisville.
Riley once, but he got the last lap Saturday.
It's
What's the
not the
one?
last one, though. We still have April.
Yeah, there we go.
What's the one thing that you're going to do during the day that if somebody's coming to New Orleans, they're not from there, they're coming in from out of town? What's the don't miss activity during the day besides Champion Square and all the things that we're doing on the Street Fest?
Yeah, the Street Fest I think is going to be awesome. It's going to be more like a game day atmosphere, like at the Saints. But I mean, how do you not go to Bourbon? The piano bars down there. I mean, I love Dragos. I mean, that's the best oysters you can have. And That's what I tell people, man. Anywhere you go in that city, you're gonna have great food. So you can't really make a bad choice. But we're looking forward to it all over there.
We got a clip of Kennedy eating oysters. I'm hoping Sam can edit it in when we post this on Friday. I had an
No.
oyster experience over there.
Was it
Don't let
at
that see the
was
light
it
of
at
day or
Drago's or
else.
no?
We were at the
Well,
swamp.
listen,
We were swamp people in Hammond.
they
Oh, yeah.
gave me a char grilled. Is that what you call it? A char
Yeah.
grilled with some Parmesan on top. That was great. But
Yeah.
as soon as I cracked open a raw one, I did not see what was coming. I wasn't
Yeah.
ready. That's
It's
all
like
I
a,
can
it's
say.
like a loogie going down your throat. I'm not a big
Oh,
raw oyster fan, but I love the oysters Rockefeller. I mean, I think it's up there. They're great.
what about crawfish? What's the best crawfish you can get in New Orleans?
I've never ate really a lot of boiled crawfish over there because when I'm there in the fall or the winter for the games, there's not crawfish
Right.
season, so I'd
True.
be leading you astray. But I bet there's plenty of places to get good boiled crawfish.
Perfect.
I wish I had a whole crew. I could have brought my trailer and set up during Fan Fest and boiled crawfish. That would
Oh,
have been awesome.
Next
hey,
year.
write that down for next year.
Yeah. Let's get
Yeah,
in fan fest next
I
year.
would
That'd be
love to
awesome.
do that. That would be awesome.
Perfect. Well, Shane, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. There's some excitement going into it. It's cool to have the momentum. Two of the guys that were, or three of the guys that are in the short round, they're coming over there and carrying the momentum from that over. In your mind, before we let you go, how much of that momentum do you think carries into the Superdome?
All of it, man. It's circled on our calendar and it's not too far away, so we're all feeling good and we're looking forward to just keeping it rolling.
Okay, last question. I'm gonna put you on the spot. We did this last week where we did first and last picks like playground. You go out there and you line everybody up. You have captains and you pick first and last. First and last pick in the calf roping this year at the Hondo.
Who's gonna win first and who's gonna win last, you're saying?
Who'd be your first pick? Who'd be your last pick?
Oh man, that's tough. I mean your first pick's gonna be Riley Webb.
We all had to do it. It's not unfair, and it's not like
Golly.
there's a bad pick, but somebody's got to go last.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
true.
someone's gonna go last. Someone's gonna slip under the radar. Do you know the field?
Yeah, actually. Let me pull it up real quick.
It's a nice thing about having 8 contestants is there's no real weak links. So whoever you pick last is, I mean,
True.
they could go in and win first just as easy. It's just interesting.
I'll
to
tell you
see.
what, I'm gonna swap it up. My first pick's gonna be myself. My last pick's gonna be Riley Webb, just because he's never last.
Whoa.
Just so you
Riley,
can
you
know
hearing this?
just so you
Yeah.
can know what it feels like.
Yeah, just so he knows what it feels like.
That's awesome. Shane, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for jumping on. Congratulations. That's a great kickstart. I mean, I know Riley doing what he does gets all the attention, but man, winning second over there that's a great start to a winner for sure. So
Yeah, man, I haven't had 50,000 won at this time in 10 years, so we're looking forward to it.
17 breaks a record, doesn't it?
I don't think so. I think Fred had maybe 18. I don't know. Fred's close. Maybe 17 ties it. I don't know. I'm just gonna keep going.
How do you not know that?
I know, but honestly, I'm just trying to make it one more year and see if I can keep going.
Awesome. Man, I
That's a good
appreciate it. Thanks for
mindset.
jumping on.
Well, there you have it. If you didn't know it, you do now. The tie-down roping is going to be a showdown, to say the least, when it comes to New Orleans in April, and I could not be more excited. So Shane was the perfect person to have on.
Love that guy. Yep. Okay, we'll be back. We're getting close. There's only a couple more of these, and then we're going to be doing game day at Champion Square. We're
Woo!
getting close. Can you believe that? It's getting close. Like, we're almost there.
It's getting so close. And because it's getting close, people need to lock in. So if you're watching us now, keep yourself dialed because we're bringing you all the storylines you're going to want to pay attention to when the showtime comes around. And speaking of that, go ahead and comment your own opinions. We're talking about a lot of hot takes. Give us yours. We'll bring them to our discussions. Thanks so much for joining us today, but we'll see you next week.